Hello and welcome everyone. After nearly 2 decades, Neo and Trinity Blade will once again rage against the machines in a long-awaited sequel from the director and co-writer Lana Wachowski. With The Matrix Resurrections less than a day from warping our collective sense of reality, we thought it was high time to swallow the red pill and deliver a guide on everything you need to know about the fourth chapter in the dystopian sci-fi saga. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that out of the way, let's get started with the video. Let's start with the basics. Like all of Warner Bros. Releases for 2021, The Matrix Resurrections will open in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time on Wednesday, December 22nd. First announced in the summer of 2019, the long-awaited sequel was originally scheduled to arrive exclusively on the big screen in late May of 2021. Of course, that became impossible when the pandemic sent the world into lockdown, forcing nearly all live-action projects to halt production indefinitely if you choose to stream the upcoming Matrix. However, you will need a subscription to HBO Max, which is the digital streaming service owned by Warner Media. Plans start at $10 a month, though the lowest tier does come with ads. The ad-free package clocks in at $15 a month. It should be noted that the major WB film releases are only available to watch via the ad-free plan. Moreover, those big titles only stay on the platform for a month before continuing out their life cycle in theaters. So with that cleared out, let's get into the backstory for the movie. The official title of the long-anticipated Matrix sequel has finally been announced as The Matrix Resurrections, and after the film's first trailer was unveiled during Warner Bros. CinemaCon Reel, there's a lot of speculation about exactly what the title might mean. The Matrix changed the face of sci-fi back in 1999, and after 2 sequels were released in 2003 to flesh out the trilogy, it seemed that the franchise had come to the natural end, given that Keanu Reeves' Neo met his end in the war against the machines. So now the biggest question is exactly how Neo survived, but there are likely more meanings and implications to the Resurrection subtitle. The original movie Matrix followed Thomas Anderson's liberation from the titular simulation and his awakening as Neo, mankind's savior. The series later went on to have him fight in a futuristic war for the survival of humanity alongside Trinity and Morpheus. It seemed for a long time that the trilogy played out exactly as intended, with a definitive beginning and end to the story, and that there was really no need for any future installments. At one point, the writer even went as far as to express their disinterest in continuing the franchise. But with Reeves' role as John Wick making him one of this generation's most beloved action heroes, popular demand won out, and Resurrections is now slated for a December 2021 release. One of the biggest problems Resurrections will face has seemingly already been solved by its name, though. The third Matrix movie ending saw Neo sacrificing his own life in order to free humanity, and the upcoming sequel's title is quite clearly a reference to Neo's return, but it also hints at an awful lot more, including the possibility that it is the Matrix itself that has been resurrected. Neo is one of cinema's most iconic and obviously messianic figures, a prophesied savior of humanity with powers beyond that of normal humans who ultimately sacrifices himself so that mankind can survive. And so his apparent return from the dead isn't altogether surprising. However, the trailer for the film shows Neo living inside the Matrix, only subconsciously aware that he is living in a simulation. This hints that maybe the titular resurrection isn't about Neo, after all, and that maybe it's the machine's stranglehold on humanity that has been revived. It is also already known that Carrie-Anne will also be returning as Trinity, and that she, like Neo, is apparently living in blissful ignorance inside the Matrix. It also carries with it the religious connotations that were inherent in the original trilogy, which signifies that this newest installment will also seek to match the tone of its predecessors. It goes without saying that it is better you have watched the original trilogy before stepping into the next Matrix. But just in case, here is the chronological order of events that you must know about. The rise of machines starts in the year 2090 with the creation of general artificial intelligence, which ends up in the enslavement of humans. This part of the story is covered in the animated short movie, The Second Renaissance Part 1 and Part 2. Then, we get another short animated movie called Detective Story, which mixes anime and classic film noir while following Detective Ash in his pursuit within the matrix of the ever-elusive internet hacker known as Trinity. These events take place sometime after the creation of the Matrix, and before Trinity joins forces with Morpheus. After these 2 animated movies, we get the events of our first live-action Matrix movie. The Matrix introduces audiences to Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus as they fight machines of the real world and agents of the Matrix. and these events take place somewhere around the year 2199. Then the story picks up in the next animated short movie called The Kid Story. The kid featured in this gritty animated story is a character seen in the second installment of the film trilogy. A young boy who breaks out of the Matrix and saves himself by sheer willpower alone. And his story takes place within the 6-month gap of time between the events of The Matrix and the second movie of the trilogy called The Matrix Reloaded, which occurs 6 months after the events of The Matrix and follows the love story between Neo and Trinity, as Neo discovers the cyclical nature and creation of the Matrix. The final movie of the original trilogy, The Matrix Revolutions, picks up immediately after The Matrix Reloaded ends, concluding the trilogy of feature films and portraying Neo's ultimate sacrifice and attempt to make peace with the machines. Even after the end of the live-action trilogy, we get some more animated short movies. Namely, the movie Beyond takes place after the events of the trilogy and follows a young girl named Yoko who soon discovers a haunted house of sorts, filled with anomalies that films had described as glitches in the Matrix. With that story background, let's talk about who we would be seeing in Matrix Resurrection. Well, Keanu Reeves will return in the starring role as Neo, with Carrie-Anne once again playing Trinity. They link up with original Matrix director Lana Yahya Abdul, whom we have seen in Aquaman, and The Watcher has confirmed he is playing Morpheus. And we have already seen all these 3 actors in various trailers so far. Another factor that we know is a part of the Matrix forecast is How I Met Your Mother star Neil Patrick Harris. The actor's specific role is being kept under wraps, but it's said to be significant. Iron Fist and Game of Thrones actor Jessica Henwick also stars in a leading role, though there are no specifics yet available as to how her role fits into the plot. iZombie actor Andrew Caldwell is also confirmed to join franchise newcomers Priyanka Chopra and Mindhunter star Jonathan Groff. Another name confirmed is Jada Pinkett Smith, who would return for the role of Neo, who she played in the original Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. One actor who is confirmed to not be returning for the sequel is Hugo Weaving, who portrayed the iconic Agent Smith in the first 3 films. After what feels like an eternity, we have finally received our first look at The Matrix Resurrections via a bunch of cryptic mini-teasers. However, much like the mystery of The Matrix itself, the teasers themselves not only offer more questions than they answer, but even the act of watching them all can be a bit difficult. Lawrence Fishburne doesn't appear to be returning to his role as Morpheus, but The Matrix Online may be the key to not only why this is, but also to why Abdul-Mateen may be playing a reborn version of the character. The Matrix Online was an MMORPG that ran from 2005 to 2009 and was actually a canon continuation of the Matrix story following The Matrix Revolutions. One of the biggest story moments in the MMO was the death of Morpheus. Yes, you listened that right. In Chapter 1.2 of The Matrix Online, Morpheus was demanding the return of Neo's body from the machines and began orchestrating attacks across the Matrix to accomplish his goal. During one of these attacks, Morpheus is killed by gunshots from a character known as the Assassin, who had bullets with a kill code. Sure, anything could happen and Fishburne could still return, but it's an interesting rabbit hole of its own to go down. At this point, we all are wondering how is Neo alive again? And I guess we will find it tomorrow. Meanwhile, let us know in the comments. How do you think Neo is back again? And with that, we will bring this video to an end. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.